All right, so I have my monster drawn. I used all different kinds of shapes for its head, its body, and some different lines for its arms and hands and feet down there. So now it's time to add the texture. You each are going to get a texture plate that we looked at last week, and one side has more texture, it's bumpier than the other side. They both have a little texture, but one side is bumpier. And if you need help finding the bumpier side, let me know. So you are going to set the texture plate on your desk with the bumpy side facing up. You want to feel that bumpy side. Then you're going to put your paper right on top of it. We have some crayons that have the paper taken off, and these are really great to make texture with because we're not going to hold them the regular way in the big spaces. We are going to pinch them in our fingers like this, our thumb and our pointer finger. We're gonna pinch the crayons, and my paper is right on top of the texture plate. I'm just gonna rub right over top of it. It makes a fun noise too. I'm gonna try to stay in my lines. With the crayon, I can even like go back and side to side like this, or up and down, and you can see all that texture that's starting to appear from the texture plate. This is texture we can see. We talked about some texture we see and some texture we can see and feel, and you can actually, you might be able to feel it a little bit from the wax of the crayon being left behind. All right, I'm gonna use different colors. We want our monster to be colorful. So I'm gonna grab another one right here. I'm gonna pinch it, and my texture plate is still underneath. I need to move it around if I'm going to be doing a different area, but it's still right in the middle for me. And you can see this color maybe a little bit more. It's a little bit darker on my white paper. I'm gonna go around. I'm still trying to stay inside the line. I can get into those little spaces pretty good because my crayon is kind of tiny. So the little ones work pretty good getting in spaces like this. The longer ones, you might have to use those for the bigger spaces. Or break it in half. I'm okay with that. We use just these crayons for making rubbings, so the little ones kind of work better. But if you do have a smaller space, like say the ears, I'm gonna move my paper down just to make sure that it's right on top of my texture plate. I'm actually going to hold the crayon like a regular crayon or a pencil. I'm not going to pinch it because it would be hard to get into a little space with that big side of the crayon. So I'm gonna hold it like a regular crayon, and you can see the texture. It might not work as well as the other side, but for small spaces, this is what you're gonna wanna do. So I'm just coloring like normal. I can see those dots appearing. So it's okay if you need to do it like that for the bigger spaces, or for the smaller spaces. But for bigger ones, again, I would pinch it and then rub it, and I can get around my face pretty good when I'm pinching it. All right, so for something like the arms, I would again use a bigger one. Here, let me use this one because it's kind of a bigger space. For my arms at least, it's a bigger space. But for when it gets into a smaller space, like down here, you can switch and then color with it to get into those little sharp claws or any other little spaces that you need to get into. But I would, wherever there's a big space, I would pinch it because you can see the best texture that way.